All right, let's jump right into this explainer. If you were online back in the early 2000s, you definitely remember the highly customized profiles, the intense anxiety of ranking your top 8 friends, and for sure that auto-playing music blaring the second you landed on a page. That was MySpace. But hey, this isn't just a trip down memory lane. This is a premium business autopsy. Today we're unpacking the unbelievable reality of a platform that achieved absolute global dominance and then simply vanished. So we got to ask ourselves, how on earth does the world's biggest social network just completely collapse after hitting such an unprecedented scale? It's a genuine mystery when you really stop and think about it, right? Monopolies in traditional industries usually take decades to fall apart, slowly chipped away by regulations or, changing supply chains. But in the digital realm, wow, an empire can literally crumble in the blink of an eye. How does a company that essentially owns the attention of an entire generation just evaporate? Well, the crucial point to remember here is that way before our modern digital networks, millions of us were logging on and connecting through MySpace. It was, without a doubt, the most powerful internet company of its time. It wasn't just a website. It was a total cultural phenomenon. It was where bands broke out, where trends started, and really where the very concept of a digital identity was forged for the masses. Before the phrase social media was even a common part of our vocabulary, MySpace was writing the rulebook.
Section 1. The First Digital Empire. The billion-dollar opportunity.
MySpace's timeline to unprecedented scale was blindingly fast. If we think about Era 1, the birth, it was chaotic, it was loud, and man, it moved incredibly fast. But by Era 2, global dominance wasn't just some lofty goal, it was reality. They were adding hundreds of thousands of users every single day. And that explosive growth led straight into Era 3, unlocking a massive billion-dollar opportunity. Media conglomerates were circling, advertisers were absolutely foaming at the mouth, and the potential felt, well, completely limitless. They essentially proved to the world that connecting people digitally wasn't just a niche hobby. It was a massive, highly viable industry. At their peak, MySpace was unequivocally ranked number 1. That single digit represents the absolute ceiling of early internet power. Being number 1 back then meant you were the default homepage for millions of people worldwide. You weren't competing for screen time. You literally were the screen time. But as we're about to see, being number 1 doesn't make you invincible. Actually, scratch that. It often makes you a huge target. And worse, it can make you incredibly complacent.
Section 2. Cracks in the foundation. Strategic mistakes and UX nightmares.
To really grasp what went wrong, we absolutely need to talk about technical debt. This is basically what happens when you prioritize massive short-term growth over long-term stability. For MySpace, user experience problems became this massive paralyzing hurdle. Because they allowed users to heavily customize their pages with raw HTML code, profiles became incredibly bloated. They were packed with auto-playing videos, heavy graphics, glittering neon text. It was, frankly, a user experience nightmare. Pages took forever to load, the site constantly crashed, and spam was everywhere. They were so hyper-focused on expanding and monetizing that they totally neglected the basic fundamental stability of their digital home.
Section 3. The Facebook Revolution. The Battle for the Internet.
The stark contrast between these two platforms is exactly where the war was decided. On one side, you have MySpace, completely plagued by poor product decisions. It was this chaotic, disorganized environment that honestly punished the user with slow load times and endless clutter. Then look at Facebook. Their entire early strategy was laser-focused on creating a fundamentally better, cleaner digital experience. They enforced standardization. You couldn't clutter your page with flashing text or heavy metal music. It was clean white backgrounds, standardized fonts, a uniform layout. It was faster, it was reliable, and most importantly, it was ridiculously easy to use. When you break down this battle, the outcome is painfully clear. MySpace's core strategy got totally mired in poor user experience, directly leading to the decline of their empire. Facebook, on the other hand, leveraged that better user experience as their primary weapon, and the ultimate result? They decisively won the social media war. Facebook capitalized on MySpace's specific strategic failures. When MySpace users finally got sick and tired of the spam, the fake profiles, and the constant crashing, Facebook offered a clean, real identity-based sanctuary. It wasn't just a different product, it was a direct, targeted solution to the exact frustrations MySpace had created.
Section 4. A spectacular collapse. The fall of a giant.
Tracing the exact steps of this collapse gives us a perfect autopsy of how the number 1 platform on Earth transitioned into a forgotten relic. It starts at step 1, with unmatched global dominance, which unfortunately created a huge false sense of security for their leadership. That directly leads to step 2, fatal product stagnation. Because they were on top, they just stopped innovating the core experience. This completely opened the door for step 3, Facebook introducing a superior alternative. And because digital networks rely heavily on the network effect, meaning the platform is only valuable if your friends are actually on it, once a critical mass of people started jumping ship to Facebook, step 4, total platform collapse, happened at terrifying speed. It wasn't a slow leak, it was a dam breaking.
Section 5, Lessons from the Ruins. An autopsy of the first social empire.
So, what are the critical takeaways from this ruin? First up, the severe danger of poor product decisions. You literally cannot let your product become unusable just to chase short-term ad revenue. Second, the incredibly high cost of ignoring user experience. If your platform frustrates people, they are going to leave the second a better alternative arrives. Third, the fatal impact of strategic leadership mistakes. Leadership at MySpace fundamentally misunderstood what their users actually wanted long-term. And finally, the absolute necessity of adapting to the future. You have to constantly iterate, clean up your technical debt, and improve, no matter how massive your market share currently is.
Ultimately, this is the most vital lesson to take away today. The company that created the social networking future was defeated by a company that understood it better. MySpace built the social networking paradigm. They proved the model worked, but they entirely missed what that paradigm would inevitably become. They thought it was an entertainment hub, a place for chaotic self-expression and media consumption. Facebook understood that the future of social networking was actually about seamless, frictionless communication and maintaining real-world relationships in a digital space.
I want to leave you with this final thought as we wrap up this explainer. Out of all the incredible missteps we explored today, which one truly killed the first digital empire? Was it the clunky, spam-filled product design? Was it the short-sighted leadership decisions prioritizing monetization over stability? Or was it simply a broader failure to adapt to a rapidly changing digital landscape? The autopsy gives us the facts, but the ultimate cause of death is something every modern business leader needs to decide for themselves so they don't repeat history. Think about it.